Imagine being on thyroid medication for 48 years and then being told you may not need it anymore. That's exactly what happened with my client, Becky. I want to tell you about her because her story is one that I will never forget. Becky had been taking thyroid medication for 48 years. 48 years! That's almost half a century of relying on medication to support her thyroid. But when Becky came to us, thyroid issues weren't the only thing she was dealing with. She was extremely fatigued. She had gotten to the point where she needed a scooter to get around. Her quality of life had become very limited. She wasn't living the way she wanted to. Then she began working with us, and her story began to change. One of the things that Becky said that really stayed with me was that she felt like her life was looking through a dirty window. She didn't have the clarity or energy she wanted. But after going through the program, she described that window as becoming crystal clear. She had more joy, she had more clarity, and most importantly, she was able to do things she couldn't do before, including something that might sound simple. She could enjoy Disneyland again. Think about that. Something as ordinary as walking around Disneyland can become an enormous accomplishment when your body isn't giving you the energy or mobility that you need. For Becky, getting that ability back represented something much bigger. It represented getting her life back. Now, here's the important part. When someone comes into my office with a thyroid problem, I don't want to look at the thyroid in isolation. I want to understand the whole person because the thyroid doesn't operate by itself. Your body is an interconnected system. So we ask questions. What's happening with nutrition? How is digestion? Are there inflammatory factors? What stressors has the body experienced? Are there nutritional needs that aren't being met? What is happening with the body's overall function and how can it heal? That's the philosophy behind our approach. We're not simply asking what medication are you taking? We're asking what does your body need? And I want to make something very clear. Becky's story is her story. It's not a promise that everyone with a thyroid condition can stop taking medication. And if you're taking thyroid medication, you should never stop or change it on your own. That decision needs to be made with appropriate medical supervision and based on your individual health and laboratory results. But Becky's experience demonstrates something that I think is worth considering. Sometimes there may be more to the story than simply managing a diagnosis. Her experience encouraged us to keep looking at the body as a whole and supporting the body's natural processes. Today, when I think about how Becky got well, I don't just think about someone who changed her thyroid situation. I think about the woman who went from needing a scooter to get around to being able to enjoy a whole day at Disneyland. I think about the woman who described her life as looking through a dirty window and then described that window as a crystal clear vision. I think about the energy, the clarity, the joy. That's what makes these client stories so meaningful because health isn't just about numbers on a lab report. It's about what you can do with your life. Becky's story reminds me and reminds us that your diagnosis doesn't have to be the entire story of your health. There may be opportunities to support the body in ways you haven't considered. And sometimes when we stop focusing on just one organ and start looking at the body as a whole, the whole person, we can discover a very different path forward. Becky has been on thyroid medication for 48 years. Today, according to her testimonial, she no longer needs it, and she's enjoying things that she couldn't enjoy. That's her story, and it's one of the reasons I continue to believe in looking deeper, asking questions, and giving the body the support it needs. Because sometimes getting your health back means getting your life back.